My FPL Game Week 8 team selection. Finally, yet another international break is done, and we can focus again on watching proper Premier League football. We can focus and get our minds back to our FPL teams. Yeah, speaking about FPL, I have a couple of transfer ideas in mind for a couple of players in my team that I don't feel like they've lived up to my expectations since I had activated my wild card. So I'm going to be looking at some of those, ideas in my video, how my team fared in game week 7 before we went on the international break. So stick with me as we go through my game week 8 team selection. What's up everyone, FPL.CARNAGE here. Well, let's get into it. The game week 7 was a couple of weeks ago, so we're not really going to dwell on it. We're just going to look at, a few positives that we can take from it as we head into game week 8. In game week 7, my team scored a total of 79 points. I think that's my best score so far. Just shows how, horrific the season started for me as well as a couple of managers, or I would even say a lot of managers out there. In my game week 7 team, a couple of standout performances for me. I had Gabriel, who returned 9 points for me against West Ham. Munoz 8 points, should have returned a lot more than that. It was really painful to see that Everton clean sheet get wiped out and then go on to concede a late goal that saw them lose their unbeaten streak. Munoz was on for a clean sheet and 3 bonus points, as well as getting that goal and hitting DEFCON points in that game, but he did still return 8 points for me as my second defender in my team. Another player that really helped boost those points for game week 7 was Semenyo. I think right now he's one of the most popular FPL assets in the game amongst midfielders. He returned 18 points in my midfield for me. He scored 2 goals and got an assist in the game against Fulham to help them clinch that 3-1 win in the early kickoff in game week 7. I also had Kudus, who got his first goal for Tottenham in the game against Leeds, giving them a victory at Ellen Road. He also returned 12 points, getting a goal and an assist and a couple of bonus points in that game. Haaland, who was also one of the popular captain picks, did return just a goal and a couple of bonus points in that game against Brentford to help Man City to yet another win before the international break. Now, this is what my team looked like in game week 7. 79 points, like I said, pushed me just into, closer to the 2 million mile. Just before Munoz lost his clean sheet, I was inside the top 2 million, about 1.4 million just before he conceded his clean sheet. It was really disappointing to see Everton wipe that clean sheet. Also, Beto came off the bench and could have gotten the winning goal that did end up falling to Jack Grealish, and he ended up getting that goal. Could have easily been an Ndiaye assist for FPL managers that had Ndiaye. I was really hoping that Beto got that goal. It would have been some nice points for me to compensate for the Munoz clean sheet that was wiped out earlier in the game. But yeah, a few disappointments also from game week 7, the likes of Salah, who failed to return yet again in the game against Chelsea. João Pedro hasn't registered a shot on target in his last 3 games, which is quite disappointing as well. I just don't understand what is happening with the Chelsea attack at the moment, but still, I really can't complain. He returned decent amount of points before the first international break, I think his first 3 games. So I'm just going to keep a close eye on him for now. Reinders also could have easily gotten a couple of goal returns. I do think if Rodri didn't come off early in the first half in that game, Reinders may have gotten a couple of involvements, because he had liberty to move further up the pitch. But with Rodri going off, he had to drop a bit deeper in that game. So yeah, Raya also with a clean sheet for me against West Ham. So 79 points, total score 403 points at the moment, and in currently I think at the 2 million mark. Hopefully we can get into the top 1 million going into this game week. So yeah, this is what my team looked like. Was on a green arrow going into the international break, which is a really good positive. So let's take a look at what my team is looking like going into game week 8. In goal, I'm going to stick with Raya away at Fulham. Now, the last 2 games Arsenal have played against Fulham, they haven't kept a clean sheet. But with the likes of Muniz and Jimenez looking like they may be absent in that game, it does give me a little bit of confidence owning the Arsenal defensive assets, and I am doubled up on the Arsenal defensive assets because also in my defense I have Gabriel, who's going to be starting for me. It gives me a little bit of confidence owning them, knowing that their talisman aren't going to be available. Most likely, we are going to wait and see what their manager says in the pre-match conference, but I still do feel a bit confident. Arsenal have Fulham away, Crystal Palace, Burnley, and Sunderland as their next four fixtures. I do see a couple of clean sheets in those games. 2 or 3 clean sheets in those games would be amazing for me as a double Arsenal defensive owner. So, though, it doesn't really seem a bit balanced because I could also start Dubravka, who I have on my bench, at home to Leeds. I just feel like Arsenal defense has a higher edge compared to starting that Burnley asset. Also, in my defense, I have Munoz at home to Bournemouth, Van der Ven at home to Aston Villa, and Goodmanson of Leeds away at Burnley. Now, Munoz, we know, returned a goal in his last game before the international break. He has been picking up a few DEFCON points here and there, although not compared to the likes of Guehi and Lacroix and Richards that you have in the Crystal Palace defense. But he also does offer something that a lot of FPL managers look for when they are buying defenders, which is attacking returns. He plays almost as a winger for Crystal Palace, and their defense has been really, really solid so far from the end of last season till now. So it could even be a clean sheet, which I really doubt, but I do hope Munoz is able to get a couple of defensive contributions and a possible attacking return. Van der Ven, my third defender, not really confident of him keeping a clean sheet in that game, but I'm hoping for something, possible DEFCON points, maybe even a lucky attacking return. Goodmanson away at Burnley. Game could easily go either way. Honestly, hoping for a 0-0 draw. Let's just take what we can get in that game. Moving on to my midfield, I have Kudus at home to Aston Villa. Hopefully he can build off the momentum of getting his first goal for Tottenham. Yes, Kudus has been overperforming in his XGI against smaller teams, and his fixtures don't look like they're going to be getting easier coming back from the international break. But I do back him. He is the most creative player and one of their creative outlets for the Tottenham side at the moment. He's nailed on minutes, so I don't see it as a huge problem, owning him or sticking with him at the moment. So he's going to be my first midfielder. I am going to also be sticking with Salah at home to Manchester United. Yes, he has not been on great form. Ideally, this may be his last chance in my team, and the reason being that I just don't see why I should own him at 14.4 million and not be getting anything more than an assist or 1 goal every now and then, right? When you have other players that are cheaper than him and are doing way better than him. But just because of his outstanding record against Manchester United, and he's going to be playing at home, he has 3 hat-tricks, 13 goals and 6 assists in 15 appearances against Manchester United, which is about 22 goal involvements against them. I think he has accumulated 134 points in that time frame when playing against Manchester United. He's also going to be my vice captain. Honestly, if I wasn't going to stick with him just because of that record, I would maybe move on to the likes of Eze, who I feel is going to be getting a little bit more playing time. Seeing Odegaard is going to be out till almost after the next international break, I think Eze is a really good pick. I would also like to own a premium such as Saka, just so that when I want to, if I decide to go back to the likes of Salah or get Palmer, it's like an easier transfer swap for me. But Salah is going to be my second midfielder in my team. Semenyo as well, the best, highest scoring midfielder currently in the game. I think he has about 6 goals in the Premier League right now. Also overperforming his XGI, but he is Bournemouth's best player. I am going to be sticking with him away at Crystal Palace. And my fourth midfielder is going to be Tijani Reinders. He is one player that I am just waiting for when he actually begins to produce those attacking returns, because we see him getting in a lot of good attacking positions, and he misses a couple of chances, but eventually I do believe he will begin to convert those chances. He is new to the league, he is adapting to a new system in Manchester City, so I do think things will come around well for him sooner rather than later. So he's going to be starting for me as my fourth midfielder at home to Everton. Up top, I'm going with João Pedro away at Nottingham Forest. It is an early kickoff. I don't know what to expect from that game. Forest have been really terrible. I don't think they've won any game in their last 8 games in all competitions, so they've been really, really terrible. I'm hoping for something from João Pedro in this game. He really, really needs it. He is also one I am looking at. Possibly he's one on the chopping block. I am just holding off on that because of Chelsea's run of fixtures up until game week 12. They have a couple of decent fixtures that I don't know that I would want to go without a Chelsea attacking asset for. I did have in mind to go with Jared Bowen, make one free transfer because I have just one transfer. I did think of going to Jared Bowen, but I think I would hold off on that and see how the Salah and Pedro idea pans out. Going into game week 8, I honestly think it's a bit of a risk, but Pedro should be able to get something out of this game. Ange, we know, likes to play a high line. I think Chelsea should be able to exploit that. Pedro should get something out of that game. So he is my first attacker in my lineup, and obviously I have Erling Haaland leading the line as my captain as well against Everton. It's going to be a difficult game. Everton have been really, a bit decent defensively so far this season, but Haaland is just on a run. I think one of the best forms of his life since he came to the Premier League. I do think he continues his terrific run of goal scoring form in this game. He also has a couple of players coming back for City that may actually bolster their attack and be able to create more chances for him in that game. So he is going to be my captain going into game week 8. On my bench, like I said, I have Dubravka. I did think of taking the punt and dropping Raya, and starting Dubravka, but I don't know what to expect from the Burnley Leeds game. I am starting Goodmanson. It just could go either way. Leeds could end up keeping a clean sheet. Burnley could end up keeping a clean sheet. They both could score, and both teams could concede, and Arsenal end up keeping a clean sheet. So I think I'd rather risk it with an Arsenal defensive asset over a Burnley defensive asset. And on my bench as well, I also have the likes of Josh King at home to Arsenal. I have Beto away at Man City, and Tosin, who I am hoping that we can get a little bit more information on his fitness before the deadline. If we can even get possible leagues that he starts, I do think I may push him into my team just ahead of Van de Ven, because I'm not confident of what Van de Ven's returns or what the outcome of that game against Aston Villa would look like. But yeah, this is what my team looks like at the moment. Like I said, my captain is on Erling Haaland and my vice captain is on Mo Salah. I don't see myself making any transfers at the moment. Like I said, I had thoughts on Jared Bowen, but I think I can wait just one more week, roll that transfer, and possibly bring him in if Salah and Pedro do disappoint me going into game week 8. Helps me also so I don't have to take a minus to bring either of them in. So I think I'll be rolling my transfer going into game week 8. So this is how my team is set up after the international break. If you've enjoyed this video, please do well to leave a like, subscribe if you're new. The aim for this video is 1,000 likes, 1,000 views. Let's try and get it, and I'll see you guys in the next FPL video.